no ni no 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 ni no nai noi no no ni no 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 nai noi no 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 ni no nai nai noi noi no no ni no nai no 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 no
I don't
ni
know if I
no
am
no no
exactly
no
a scientist.
no 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 no
Um,
no
I
no
do
no
academic
ni
research,
no
that's for sure,
no no no
and
no
also philosophical reflection based based on the ancestral knowledge of indigenous nations. I have worked with indigenous nations in North America, also in the Andes, that is the Peruvian highlands, and Bolivia and Ecuador highlands, and mostly in the Amazonic rainforest, in the Amazon rainforest. And I especially work with the Shipibo Conibo Nation because I am married with a Shipibo Conibo artist, a female artist, that she is descendant of people that uh, had dedicated to traditional medicine of the rainforests. So I try to think and to work in an academic way, but inside an indigenous family and respecting the indigenous rationality and way of thinking, of living, of this conscious of being part of the sacred web of life.
That's very
And
interesting.
of course, I have a dialogue with science. I am not, I don't consider myself a scientific. I have a dialogue with science that is especially, I am a critic of positivism, very critic with positivism, not with the scientific method, but with this this philosophical idea that you can explain our life, that you can explain that you can explain life in a whole sense only from the scientific technique speech way of expressing. I think that I am against this kind of reductionist way of approaching reality and life and soul and spirit. Yes, like you are asking me for the traditional epistemology, indigenous epistemology, how they arrive to knowledge. And in an indigenous sense, dreams and visions are valid methods for arriving to knowledge. Because in the traditional understanding, dreams are not only, they don't only put us in contact with our unconscious, but they allowed us to be in contact with other realms of reality that are not so concrete at this what we call the physical world. No? And I do like the idea of the physical world have changed in the last year, especially in the 20th century with the discoveries of quantum physics. No? That we have arrived to know that the atom is not a block, not an impermeable block. The atom is at the same time particle and at the same time frequency. So what we like from the Western point of view, what was called reality, the material reality, is not so solid as the first scientific used to think, even as the Greeks used to think. Reality, like my body the cells that are in my body 10 years ago, they were not the same cells that are today. We are renewing all the time, and our atoms and molecules are all the time in communication, exchanging with the rest of life. And that's why we are part of the sacred web of life. We are always interchanging. We are not autonomous beings. No? We are, and what remains is a pattern. No, what remains is a pattern. It's my what we can call in a simple way my soul. No, is what remains. So reality is not so solid, but we can talk about the dense frequency of reality that are the ones that we perceive with our biological eyes. But there are other realms that are more subtle frequency of reality that we cannot perceive with our biological eyes, but we can intuit, we can perceive them with a transcendental exercise of our perception, with another kind of conscious, with an expanded conscious. So in Amazonic terms, when we dream, our spirit could travel to these other realms of reality and could talk with spirits. In an Amazonic sense, we think that every being, like animals, plants, even the river, even the lake, all are living beings, and all of them participate of language, and all of them have a degree of conscious and sensibility. And the traditional narrative, the traditional stories of the Amazonic elders tell us that at the beginning of the time, we all share a primordial condition, like the sun, the moon, the mountains, the trees. We were all people from the same nation, let's say. But because of different things happen, we separate. Now we are different, ontologically speaking, we are different from trees. But we share this spiritual breath, this cosmic breath, and we are still relatives. We have some kind of kinship with them because we all come from a common source.
Yes.
And in our dreams, when we do this transcendental perceptual exercise, we can talk to the spirit of the trees and the spiritual owners of trees, the spiritual owners of the rivers, the spiritual owners of the plants, and they can tell us their knowledge. We recover this primordial language. Now, everyone dreams, no? But indigenous people have a special sensibility for these kind of messages. And the ones that had prepared themselves, that have succeed in the initiation process for becoming traditional healers, what anthropology call shamans. I don't use this word. This word, as you know, was used by Mircea Eliade when he was talking about shamanism or the tradition, the archaic techniques for ecstasies. Is not a word of us. No, it comes from Siberia, I think so. We talk about traditional healers and each nation have its own name. For example, the Chipivos call Meraya or Onaya. That's the traditional word for calling the wise people. So the wise people are people that had been initiated following a very a strong regime of abstinence and fasting and taking plants for being able to communicate with the soul of the world and with other entities. Because the plant is the being, the living being that is more in the present and in relation with all these cosmic primordial elements that makes life possible, because their roots go to the soil, no, inside the soil, but the branches and the leaf, they take the sun power, the sun energy, and also the rain. But plants also have a metaphysical realm, a super sensitive realm, and plants allowed us to connect with these metaphysical worlds or spiritual worlds or ethereal worlds, as you ever want to call them. No, we in Shipibo we have our own words that is called Hakun Nete. The Hakun Nete is the good world, is the world of the ancestors, the world of the good spirits. But there are also other entities that are not so good, that they are selfish entities, that are like depredators, no? So the one that want to practice in a good way medicine need to know how to relate with the good spirits and how to push away the bad entities. So all the knowledge come from an spiritual realm. One thing that is important to say when we speak about ayahuasca, I think that it's good to start with saying this, is that this ayahuasca boom that you are talking about in Europe is part of a neo-shamanic movement and have very few to do with the traditional medicine practice of the rainforest. Because in the past, it was only the healer that took the ayahuasca. And the healer took the ayahuasca for developing this transcendental exercise of perception, for being able to make the diagnosis of the disease of his patients, and to connect with this Hakun Nete, with Rao Nete, the medicine world, for healing. And what heals was not the ayahuasca, was the chanting, because the healer connects with the spirit world, and the medicine comes from that spiritual world, and that energy takes body, it was embodied in the frequency of the chanting. And that's why it can affect the patient and the body, the material world. So for example, when the traditional healer say, I am cleaning you, for example, in Shipibo, Sua Sua Bainking, no? If I chant is Sua Sua Bainking, Pisha Pisha Bainking, that means I am cleaning you. So when I say I am cleaning you, I am really cleaning you, because it's a word that is not like in the traditional linguistic or semiotic theory. The sign, we separate the significant from the sign, no? The meaning from the significante, the significant from the meaning. No, we separate. But in the Shipibo healing world, no, what I say is an action. It's a performatic word, because I am telling you what I am doing, but at the same time I am doing what I am saying. So when I say I clean, it's an action. No, I connect. No, it's a word that connects with the primordial poetical rhythm essence of language. And it's an essence of language that can affect reality in a good way, in a positive way, the material reality in a positive way from the spirit world, from this spiritual energy. So what heals was the word, the chanting. And then healers used to recommend other plants, the prescription, no, of other plants for healing the patient. So it was only the one that was prepared and that know, because if you take ayahuasca, you must know how to connect with the spiritual being of the ayahuasca, the deep part of the ayahuasca. So using in Shipibo, ayahuasca is oni, no? The word ayahuasca is Quechua and means la liana, the vein, la liana, and ayah is bitter. It's not ayahuasca, as people say, that is the rope of the spirits. No, that's not true. It's ayahuasca, no? That was the origin of the word. Yes. So in Shipibo is oni. Oni is the mix of ayahuasca and chacuruna. No? That's the oni. Ayahuasca is this rope, and chacuruna is a bush that in Shipibo is called kawa. The leaf, you use the leaf of the bush. So with the mix, you make what people call ayahuasca, that we in Shipibo is called oni. So you connect to oni shama kanoni, oni shama kanoni. You connect with the deep part and you call the owner, the spiritual owner of the medicine, no? Oni ibu muraya. So you talk with him, and then you align the effect of the ayahuasca. And with your chanting, you control the visions. So visions don't come to you because you must keep visions in a distance for being able to make the diagnosis. So there is this urban myth that say that for becoming a shaman, what they call a shaman, you must let the snake to eat you. But that's nonsense. How you will let a snake to eat you? It will take your soul. It's a of nonsense. Yeah. So all this idea of patient need to drink ayahuasca, and because people said, no, the people that work from a psychological point of view, they said ayahuasca will let you do a regression so you can go to the origin of your trauma, and then you will get healed because you know the origin of your trauma. And that is Sigmund Freud. That is not indigenous knowledge. That is psychoanalyst. That is another colonial, Eurocentric theoretical imposition in the Amazonic materials, in the Amazonic knowledge. That is pure colonization. That have nothing to do with the epistemology, ontology, or the understanding of healing of the traditional healers. And also this idea that you must let yourself flow with the mother spirit of the ayahuasca, no? That will take you, and if you don't let, it's because your ego is no. It's not like that, because the Shipibo shamans, the Shipibo healers, when they take ayahuasca, they don't let themselves flow with the ayahuasca. They control ayahuasca with their strong thought, with their strong thinking, and with the chantings, their chantings. So you must control ayahuasca. And because people doesn't know how to talk with ayahuasca, that's why it was not for the patients. It's only for the healer. like what I think is not okay that people drink ayahuasca is if they are not well prepared, if they are not healers. Only healers should take ayahuasca. People that are taking ayahuasca, they maybe can have big visions, big intuitions, but they will get ill with time because ayahuasca will capture their spirit. Because ayahuasca spirit don't know them. So ayahuasca will send the spirit, the owner of the ayahuasca will send its defense, its snakes, and will take the soul, fractions of the soul of people. So in the end, they will end with what we call in the Amazonic Hispanic language, that is not the same Spanish that in Spain. No? We talk cutipado. That is, you get ill by the plant. The plant captures your soul. And we see these hippies, tourists, that are getting ill because of plants. For us, is really obvious. What is open for everybody is the traditional medicine. People can come to the Amazon for healing, but there is a problem that people usually are not humble. So when you are not humble and when you don't have faith, you will never learn. And also in Europe, people are raised by modernity, no? So people have troubles for relating with their own ancestors. So they come here with that wound, no? And that is like not having a good relationship with your ancestors is a kind of illness because you don't have good roots. So when people come here with that problem and they want to, they usually do a cultural appropriation of indigenous paraphernalia, no? What they think that seems indigenous. But that's not the answer, because the answer is to be in peace with your own ancestors and with your own culture. So you can learn from the other, but you don't try to be the other because you are in peace with yourself. But people are not in peace with the religion of their parents, with their costume of their parents. So they have a big vacuum in themselves. So for being able for healing, you must have patience, you must have time, you must be humble, and you must have faith, because all healing comes from the upper world. And if you don't believe in the great spirits, who will who will who will heal you? It depends. But for example, let's say a very typical modern disease that is drug addiction. People that have smoked marijuana for 10 years, let's say, and they come and they want to be healed. Marijuana have an influence in our body, in our mind, and in our spirit, because marijuana is a very strong plant, and marijuana have a strong owner, a spiritual owner, and capture your soul. So if you want to be completely clean in a physical sense, in a mental sense, and also to get rid of the psychic and spiritual influence of marijuana in a complete sense, let's say complete clean, completely reborn, that takes 9 months. 9 months. So what we usually do, if someone, like people usually, like the good healers, they can, someone that come 10 days, 15 days, they can help them, but they will not be completely solves the problems. No? It is that traditional medicine, for example, what traditional healers used to heal? Witchcraft, for example, witchcraft, black magic,
Yeah.
or diarrheas, or things very concrete, you know. They were healers of people that didn't have any other source of healing than them. They were not clinics, no. So they heal disease. Anthropology could call them cultural diseases. I don't think so that it's only cultural. I think that it's wider than that. But used to heal these kinds of things. This idea of being here to being more sensitive, no, to develop a better relationship with nature is not, doesn't come from tradition, because in a traditional sense, every indigenous people used to have this kind of relationship with Mother Earth. They were all conscious of connections. So what you are talking will be another way of, a modern way of approaching traditional medicine that could be like open, like a retreat, a spiritual retreat. But it's not what traditional medicine offers. It's more a neo-shamanic approach. Not only energy, mind and spirit. Like the chanting can go inside the mind and clean sadness, and clean anguish, and clean when you are too much, when you have too many thoughts, or when you have negative thoughts, because we know that thoughts also have as in some way they are also matter, but in a more subtle way. They are around us. For example, you can see the thoughts of people as symbols here, as image, archetypes. No, you can see them here around them, because thoughts have they travel, and we usually think that we produce thoughts, but thoughts are traveling in the air, and the problem is that our brain is like an antenna that capture thoughts. The problem is that we identified ourselves with that thoughts, and that's why we go to these black holes of gravity, of thoughts gravity, and we must clean them. But it's not that the healer is cleaning, it's the healer is allowing this energy to clean the thoughts. And also in a physical sense, the body, we clean, like the chanting could clean the body of bad earth. What we call bad earth is Hakuma Niwe in Shipibo. Niwe is, you can, for example, the air, the wind is called Niwe, no? Niwe. But also this subtle matter of bad smells live in our stomach, and we must clean. With the cleaning, you can also clean the blood, because the voice vibration have an impact in the material world. So it's not only energy. We clean everything with chantings. We are spiritual beings, and I understand that spirit and matter are not so different, are not split. It's not like in the traditional philosophical Western thought that is a complete split between physics and metaphysics. What I see is a continuity, that everything is a spirit, because everything is frequency, but in different states of condensation. But this is part of the spirit world. And that's why, in a Christian sense, St. Paul used to talk about the spiritualization of the body. It's not rejecting the body, it's spiritualizing our body for being able to sense this spiritual origin that we come, and the cosmic breath that is giving us life. For me, the spiritual unity and the presence of the Great Spirit is evident. I see the Great Spirit in every tree, in every bird. I know that I live immersed in the Great Spirit, in this unity. But at the same time, this Spirit that gives me life chants in me in a very particular way. And it chants in a singular way in each bird. Each bird is a particular manifestation of the Great Spirit, as each flower, as each river, as each cell. No? So we live in a spiritual, we are spiritual, we live in a spirit world. So if we want to perceive this, it's very simple, as I told before. It's only being humble and keeping a calm mind, open to the world, and keeping an open heart. And we can be full of these great revelations or sacred knowledge or read several books. But if we are still egoistic people, selfish people, no, selfish people, that's the word, selfish. If we're still selfish, we are never going to connect with the light of Creator. We are always going to connect with the artificial light of vanity. And in a biblical sense, in a Christian sense, that artificial light of vanity is Al Satan, no, the demon.
Okay.
So if we want to live with Creator, we must be humble and do good things, compassionate things for others in a very simple way. And then everything will talk to us. We don't need to drink ayahuasca. There is not technique that will take us to enlightenment. We, as the Buddhists say, our primordial condition is being Buddha. We are all Buddha, but we don't realize that we are Buddha because our ignorance and our selfish desires. So maybe if we stop living in an ignorant way and being governed by selfish desires, maybe if we stop that, we are going to feel better and we are going to suffer less and we are going to be connected. And for doing that, we don't need ayahuasca.
No 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 ni no 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 ni no nai noi no no ni no 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 nai nai noi no no ni no 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 ni no nai nai noi noi no no ni no nai nai no 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 ni no nai nai no no ni no 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 nai nai noi ni no 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 ni no ni no nai nai Alto cima cima yari, sumai karomai, yana rumisi toi runasi toi, jamu karomai, sinci doktor toi, sumai karomai, medicinai mantene munci.